There's everything from very poignant lyrics to very pointed lyrics to complete nonsense.
Let's smash to a podcast.
And luckily, I feel like the combination of all those things is really what makes Illuminati Hotties Illuminati Hotties. It's too hard to be extremely serious. There's so much crazy stuff going on at all times. The only way that I've ever been able to sort of process and interpret stuff like that is through my own personality and through my own sort of funny way of looking at life, I guess.
While the world burns, how could you care about a fucking record?
I really feel inspired when I'm busy and I have a lot going on and I'm sort of walking through the world and interacting with people and going to shows and going to see friends or on the road or whatever, and I'm constantly jotting down lyrics in my phone or on a piece of paper or whatever, and at some point they sort of overflow and a song comes out. Saying something that hasn't been said is kind of like the biggest thing that I could look for in a band, is to be authentic, be genuine, be saying something I haven't heard before or in a way that I haven't heard it before, and be yourself, you know? I think the most exciting music to me is when you can tell that the artist is just doing what is so authentically natural to them. I really, really love to make use of being observational, being out in the world, and just kind of noticing all the weird, funny, cute things that people do.
Times Square on a tiny TV, will their buddies even like me? Kissing at the stroke of 12, stumbling off to slime you in the
Most of it is just remaining authentic, and even when I'm doing the most hyperbolic of myself, there's like an earnestness and an authenticity about what I'm playing and what I'm performing and how I want it to come across to people. And that, I think, kind of keeps that uniqueness and wildness fresh in the music. That being said, I do love performing, and I do think part of performing and putting on a great show is looking the part and dressing the part, creating a narrative sort of within the band in which they all kind of feel like they can also be like the cartoon superhero version of themselves. I think is sort of the basis of it all, is to be ourselves amplified by 120%.
How'd you miss the sheep? Close, trade your puppy for a walk down.
I think the music has found its way to people that totally get it and that are totally on board and that love pulling apart the lyrics and seeing how it all happens on stage and hearing new songs when they come out. And I think also it's confusing, and I think like occasionally there's, you know, it just will miss some people, and I think that's the thing that I love about pretty much all the music that I think is great, is that it is pointed in such a way where it can't possibly please everybody, and that's how it had made waves in musical history. I mean, that's kind of like the greatest thing about putting out music, is I feel like we're constantly able to recontextualize feelings that felt so deep and so exclusive to us, and then when you get to watch other people react to them, you can kind of see how it connects to everybody else.
How can I prove I'm a keeper if it matters?
I just started calling my music tender punk because I have always felt so influenced by punk and by the DIY scene around me. Punk didn't feel like the right fit the music has always been a little bit softer than that and a little bit more comfortable around the edges. And so tender punk kind of started. And, you know, while the songs weren't like tender enough to be emo or punk enough to be straight ahead punk, it kind of fit into this like little world that I started building around it.
All my favorite socks are getting holes in it. All my favorite people got a load on them.
I think there's sort of the initial creative spark with every song where you're feeling inspired or you're feeling connected, or, you know, you're feeling a number of sort of the magical things that happen with creating. And because I have the engineering tools and the production tools to work on my own music, it allows me to sort of bypass having to communicate with another person to make the sounds I'm hearing a reality, which is really great. And also sometimes, you know, a little bit tricky and scary because there is no sounding board to be like, whoa, wait, like, take a step back and listen to this thing one more time. And on the other hand, it's really fun, and it makes creating so fulfilling to me. One of the things that's really helped me is I don't mix Illuminati Hotties stuff. I mix other people's music. But I have a mix engineer, my friend Colin Pastor, who's so wonderful, and that's been a huge help for me finishing stuff, is just being like, I need to send it to Colin and get it off my hard drive, because I have a feeling if I open the door to me mixing my own stuff, I'd just be tooling around in it forever and going backwards and re-recording vocals. So having somebody keeping me accountable has also been extremely helpful in the finishing process, and just saying like, you know what, I have to make a deadline because this is when Colin can work on the stuff. It's really important to just know how to put your best foot forward, how to protect yourself and value yourself, and also how to make it possible to continue to make music every day if that's what you want to do, or make art every day. If you're going to sign a label deal or a publishing deal or something, the biggest thing is to make sure that at some point the masters or the points revert back to you, because, you know, that is your retirement plan, that's your value, and that's your material, and you deserve to have the benefits that come from that. One of the main reasons that I feel like I've been able to make my life exclusively about music and continue to eat and, you know, have a place to live and feed my dog is because I've kept a tight grip on everything that's happening. It just allows me to be the most creative when the other stuff is settled and out of mind. I would never take a sponsorship. I'd love to see just sort of a return to art for art's sake. It's impossible to make art under the looming veil of capitalism. It just is sucking the life out of so much that makes life special. I think that in our lifetimes it's going to be impossible to escape, but hopefully in the future, the reason that people will want to continue interacting with art is because it fills our soul, and it's not about objectifying it or monetizing it as much as it is about making something that is expressive to you and speaks to others.
No, I just fixed that.
I just forgot it.
In every life there is a bound, one rounded curve of time or time. I'm on the left half looking over.
I feel like the sky is the limit, and I don't want to sound not modest or not humble, but I feel really lucky that by just putting one foot in front of the other, I'm constantly surprised by who is into this music and how far it gets and what people want to hear and how it connects with people live. And so I guess all I can really ask for is that I keep having stuff to write songs about and that people keep wanting to hear it. That's kind of the main thing, is to be able to do music every day.
Pool hopping, window shopping, so spaced out.